Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an OData service. It'll be a very simple service that just allows us to uh, get a list of airlines and flight numbers. Okay, so the first step is we want to go to transaction SEGW. This is the service builder that SAP provides. And you create your service projects from this transaction, and then add data to the service and also then expose the service. So the first step is we want to create a new project. We're going to call our project SFLIGHT, and this is just a test service. And we're going to save it in package OData. Okay, so now that the package is created, what we want to do is we want to create an entity type. This is very similar to creating a structure in SC11. This is going to let us list a number of fields that are exposed in our OData service. So we're going to name the entity SFLIGHT. We're also going to create the related entity set of SFLIGHT set. If we expand this, we'll see that currently it doesn't have any properties. So we're going to add two. The first one will be airline. The second will be the flight number. We'll make the airline the key. And then we need to generate the service so that it creates the runtime objects. You need to put it on a transport. So I already have a transport that I previously created. We'll use that. Oh, and of course I forgot to define a type. So we're just going to go with a basic string. So as you can see now, this automatically provides a default name for both the model and data provider classes that it's going to generate for this service. And in this data provider class is where we will be querying the database to populate the data for our service. I'm just going to delete these additional Z's. And accept everything else as is. Again, I'll select my OData package. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to open another window, and I have my favorites saved here. We want to go to activate and maintain services. That transaction is IWFND / maint_service. So if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we see that the only Z service that we have is what I previously created. So the one right now is SFLIGHT. So I'm going to go ahead and add that service. For system alias, we'll just select local. There's only two options, and we're going to go with the local alias. For technical name, I'm going to enter Z star, hit enter. So now we see Z SFLIGHT_service. I'll select that. I'll click continue. make note of the package assignment you're using. In this case, I'm sticking with my OData. Assign this to your transport. Great. So now the service was created. So now if I go green arrow back once and scroll to the bottom again, I see my second Z service. I can double click this, bring up the SAP Gateway client, and this Gateway client is very similar to a Postman client. This lets us call HTTP methods of get, post, put, patch, merge, and delete. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from XML to JSON. It's just easier to read. I'm going to execute it. And we can see that our service here shows up, SFLIGHT set. So that is related to the SFLIGHT service that we created here. All right, so now if we try to query SFLIGHT set, we get an error. The reason is we haven't implemented the method, which is the SFLIGHT set get entity set method for the service we just created. So going back to SEGW, we can see that after we generated the service, now the service implementation has our create, read, update, and delete. And there are two gets. One is for a single result. The other is for a list of results or a query. In this case, we're going to focus on the query. So if I right click on that and then click on go to workbench, it's going to do some compiling. Go to the ABAP workbench. What we can do is we can implement this method. Okay, so I will expand my methods here. And again, you see create, update, delete, and then this is the read, which is get entity and get entity set. Here, let me click on get entity set. So this is the default service. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I have to redefine the method, sorry. All right, I'm going to delete all of these comments. And if you recall, we added two attributes to our service. So I'm simply going to select those two attributes. And that was the airline, which is car ID, and the flight number, which is CONN ID. And that is from table SFLIGHT into table. So the name of the table is going to be this ET entity set. And that table is only going to have the two attributes that we created. So I know this will work. I can show you if I go back to SEGW. So we have airline flight number, which corresponds to car ID and con ID. I'm going to save this. Double click into our SFLIGHT table just so we can confirm. So yep, the first one's the airline code. The second one's the flight connection number. All right, I'll go back. I'll do a pretty print. Syntax check. Everything looks good. Now I'm going to activate. Great. All right, so now going back to our gateway client. Previously, we had a status code of 501, and it let us know that the reason was that this method was not yet implemented. So if I execute, great, now our status code is 200, which is good. And we can see that we get airline, flight number for all of the values in the table. And as a sanity check, what we can do is we can open up a new window with SE16N. Go to the SFLIGHT table, execute this, and we can see that these entries here for both the airline and the flight number should match what we have in the table, and it seems like they do. Scrolling all the way to the top, it begins with AC820, and if we scroll to the bottom, it ends with SQ26. Feel free to post in the comments section if you have any questions. Thank you.